Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Laura Stranks and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Glad to have you on board today. If some of you have watched my videos, the one I did last week, I showed you a card that I made and we did the construction last week. This is one of the ones that we did, and today I'm going to show you how to make a box to put it in. That's one of the designs that I did previously, and it goes in a box. It's a reinforced lid on the box, which makes it nice and sturdy. You could also post in a little postage bag. That's the box that it goes in. This is the card I made last week on last week's video live, and I'm going to do the matching colours for the box today and some of the same design that I've got on the card. Excuse my bit of a nasally voice today because I've just come out of isolation from having COVID. I'm nice and well today, just still got a little bit of a nasally voice, but I'm all good. I'm glad it only lasted for a week. I had one really bad day, which was not too bad. Probably just rested for the day and drank lots of water, but that's behind me now, thank goodness. Anyway, we'll get on with today's video. This, just for anyone's information, if you want to see any of my videos, I've uploaded them into here, which is the Laura's Craft Tips and Tutorials page. It's a Facebook group. All the instructions and videos will be in there, so you can go back and watch them later if you like. I've also got a Facebook page which is called Cards by Laura, and in here you can see all the creations that I've done over the years. Most of them are pretty recent cards. I do sell all my cards, so if anyone is ever interested, just hop onto the page and have a look, and I can also design cards for you. There's lots in there that you can choose from. Anyway, we'll get on to today's video. That's the business side out of the road. This is the original template one that I did, the box and the card to match. So today I'm just going to show you how to create the box. And as I mentioned before, it has a reinforced lid, which means it's double on the lid, which makes it nice and sturdy. They're easy to do, just a little bit more extra cardstock to create, but you can get this the box and the base out of one piece of each of different colours in A4 size cardstock, so you don't need 12 by 12 unless you've got a bigger size card or bigger size project you want to put in it. Now these are the measurements. I've typed them up a little bit larger so you can take a screenshot if you wish, save you writing them down as you go. My base I'm going to do in basic white, and then my top piece will be in Starry Sky, which is one of the new in colours for Stampin' Up. That will be the lid, and the mats are in basic white as well. So without much more, I shall get on to that. Now this one, it'll be a fairly quick video today because it doesn't take too long. I've chosen white mats and the same DSP as the card. I'll open the card up for you so you can just see it's the same pattern in here. I could have chosen this one, but I wanted to keep it quite subtle so it didn't sort of take away from the decoration on the card, on the box. So we've just chosen this. It's like a splash, water splash of colour. And we'll get going from this. Now I'll do the lid first Now actually we'll start with the base, because there's a little bit, it's just a little hint to do when you're doing a box. I'll just get my trimmer out because I haven't trimmed any of this. When you do a box, you need to make your base a fraction smaller so that the lid will fit over the top without being too tight. So if you make it the same size as the lid, then it's going to squish up the sides and not sit very well. So what I've done, my base, you've got to add in your side pieces, the width of your side bits here and on both ends. And this one will be 7 3/4 by 6 1/4. But then before I score anything, my side bits here are 1 inch high, so I've allowed for that. We're going to just cut a smidge off 2 adjoining sides. That will make it a fraction smaller, so it will fit, the lid will fit nicely. And what I call as a smidge, I'll move that down a fraction, I'm just going to use the width of that grey section of where your cutting blade goes through, and I'm just going to line that edge up, and you just do this on 2 sides. Just line that edge up with that. You could go wider, but then it makes the lid a little bit loose. I have done one where I've gone to this first mark here, the longer mark across, which is 1/16, but I found it was a little bit too loose. It's just sort of playing it by ear as to how much. So I'm just going to do just that grey section off, cut that off. I find it easier to do it this way than measuring down to the size you need. This way you get your full length, your full piece first, and then just cut the smidge off. And with this trimmer, Stampin' Up! Trimmer, it's easy to cut off just a smidge like that. So that's all you're cutting off, that tiny little piece. Then you can go ahead and score. So because you know it's going to be that much smaller than the lid. And I'm scoring at 1 inch on all 4 sides. That will give me my sides of the depth of my box. Push my trimmer out of the road, my cutter, and we'll go 1 inch. And I go from this side of the trimmer because it gives you more, it gives you a nice straight edge up here and gets your scoring line nice and straight. We'll do all 4 sides. Today's video won't be too long. I hope everyone's been well. I was just so glad I didn't cop that COVID too badly. That'll get covered up. Oh, it's nothing there. So that's the 4 sides scored. Now all we're going to do is cut the corners to make tabs. And I always put any boxes I do, I prefer to use tear and tape to put them together. I find Tombow, even though you've got that little bit of wiggle room, it's not as secure as the tear and tape. So all I'm doing is cutting up each. I fold after I've scored. I prefer it better. I prefer to do it that way. I'm cutting up the score line, the 1 inch score line, to that first score line, and then I'm just going to do a little notch on both sides to create a tab. When you notch it, when you're folding it inwards, it will create a nice fit and not get buckled over where you're putting your tab up. And I go the same direction on all 4 sides. I go from here across to here, cut up and notch both sides of your tab, turn it around and do the same on the other side, up here. When we do the lid, it's a little bit different to this because you've got that extra width. Go straight across and up. Like so. Just get rid of all that little bit. Then I go ahead and fold and burnish. nice crisp score lines. And I'm going to put a liner in the base, only just to decorate it. There's no, you can put mats along your side pieces here if you wish. You just go down, if you did a mat, it would be 3/4 of an inch for the first mat and then down to 1/2 inch. Or you can do 1/8 of an inch if you like, and do some side decoration as well. But for this one, we're just keeping it fairly basic because it's just holding your beautiful box. I didn't fold that one too well. Just like so. Then we're going to flip it over. Flip it so it looks up, it sits up like this, and you're going to put your tear and tape on the 4 corners. And this one's nearly finished. I use it quite a bit, but I've got spares there. I'll use my scissors today. Normally I tear with the top of my Tombow, but I'll do it this way today. Actually, I'll show you on the other side the trick with the Tombow. I'm going to put 3 bits on because I want it to hold nice and securely. My Tombow, now all I do with this, I get the lid of my Tombow. This way you haven't got to pick your scissors up and down each time. I hold that in that hand because I'm right-handed, so I need to hold with my right hand and just go like so. Just hold the lid of your Tombow down on your tear and tape, slide it across to secure it and tear it off. Much quicker than picking your scissors up and down. I prefer to do it this way. But if you're not, some people, it takes them a little bit to get used to doing it that way. But once you start, it's so much quicker. And for the purpose of the video, I'd like to be quick. I don't want to draw it out. Beautiful weather here today in Brisbane. I think I heard on the news last night we're up to 26 degrees, which is so strange for the middle of winter. Now we'll take the backs off all of those, and because if you use your lid of your Tombow, because you've slid that across as you go, that should be secure enough down to make it nice and firm on your card. You haven't got to go around. Normally I would go around with my bone folder and push them all down, but if you do it this way, you don't need to do that. Nice and quick. I take all 4 off. Sometimes I'll only do a couple at a time, but this one, it should be okay. I'll just make sure I don't get it caught up anywhere. Now you need to make sure when you pull this across that edge there is level with your score line down that side, nice and neat. And because you've wedged in those little pieces there, it sits nice and tidy inside as well. And the same with each other corner. Nearly got it stuck. If you're a beginner, just do 2 sides at a time. I would take 2 off at once, because doing just one, then you've got to go and get while it's bent inwards, you've got to get the other one off. So, and then all we've got to do is put the liner in the base. And I'll show you also, just to make sure before you put your that's a little bit smaller than what I wanted, but it'll just have the border around. And for this, I'm just going to use a tiny bit of Tombow. It doesn't need too much. It's just to secure it in the bottom. Now remember, there was a bit of a border around, so we'll just leave a bit of a border. You can make that probably 1/8 of an inch bigger if you wish, but I don't mind the little white border around the edges. It's not very straight, but no one's going to see it anyway. So that's our base. Now the lid, I've got this here. You don't need to trim anything off the lid. And this, because it's the reinforced piece, it's another 3/4 of an inch. As you can see, I've got it so that you can still see your base. So you make this 3/4 of an inch wide and it sits up. There is another way of doing a box where you put an insert in here and that sits your lid up. But for this one, we're just going to do it this way. And that's 3/4 of an inch wide. So my lid is 8 3/4 by 7 1/4. That allows for the reinforced section as well. And I'm going to score at 3/4 of an inch and 1 1/2 inches on all 4 sides. The 3/4 is the depth. But because we're doing it twice, folded over, we're going to go, and remember, don't cut anything off this one. I'm going to go this way this time because I need to do 2 measurements. 3/4 and 1 1/2. Make sure it's nice and straight. And butt up against your trimmer at the top so it keeps it nice and straight. I love Stampin' Up! Equipment. It's so easy to work with. 3/4 and 1 1/2. I often do reinforced lids, especially for the smaller type boxes, because it makes it nice and sturdy. Better make sure this is straight, otherwise we'll have a crooked lid. 3/4 and 1 1/2, and the last one. If you do score wrong, there is, before you fold, there is a way of pushing out your score lines as well. If you just get your bone folder, go from the back, and that one wasn't right. 3/4, 1 1/2, and this is where I'll show you. You won't see it. I went 1 3/4 there, but I'll show you how to get that score line out. That was talking. So this inner score line here I don't need, and I don't know if you can see it, but I can. I'm just going to push that down again, like so. Being the lid, you're not going to see, it's going to be underneath the mat. But I just go along and push that line out. You can do it again on this side. It does leave a bit of a shiny mark, but it's not too bad. I could see it was wrong when I did it because it was a lot wider. So that's that. We won't see that when we get to do it. Now, with this one, I am going to fold this one first this time, because I need to show you where the cut lines are. It's a little bit different to the base. It's not just basic. It's pretty much taking off the 3 outside corners of your lid. And I'll show you what I mean in a sec when I get these folded. This way is easier to see where you've got to cut. When it's a straight base like the base we just did, I find it easier to just cut up before you fold and burnish. So we've got it this way again, they're all folded. Now it's pretty much taking out, and I'll just pencil them in, the 3 outside sections. So 1, 2, 3. Those 3 squares you're going to take out on every corner. And I do it the same. I go from here across and then turn it around and go there and there. I don't go one here, turn one here. You can. It still works that way, but I prefer to keep it pretty symmetrical. So what we're going to do, the easiest way to remember is to just cut up that outside score line, cut up the next score line, both of those, and then cut off these two outside ones, and then only half of this one. I'll just trim that one there a little bit. So you've taken off 3 corner pieces. Then you're left with this little tab here. But you need to notch. I was trying to think of the word. I couldn't think of it. Notch. It's gone jelly brain today. Notch the tab so it will fit in nicely. But then notch just that outside longer flap. You don't need to notch this inner section here. That'll be folded down inwards, and you can notch this outside one as well. So you end up with that. So you've taken off the 3 outside pieces, notched your tab, and notched that, just the outside edges of that. Then you're going to go across and do exactly the same. Cut up that score line, cut up that score line, take off the 2 outside pieces. So there's a square there and there, which we're taking off. Just trim that up a little bit. And then half of the second one. If it's a bigger box, you can take off more than half if you find it's going to catch, but we'll leave that for another day. I won't go into that. But this tab, so long as you cut off half of it, it'll give you plenty of room to play with. And notch those 2 outer sections like so. Turn it around to the other side and do exactly the same. So you're going to cut up there, up there, take off the 2 outside ones, and half of the second one, and then do your notching. And that's that corner. And the last one, cut up and up. Take off the 2 outside ones and half of the second one. Notch. I'll do the outside bits first. Doesn't matter what order you do them in. So long as you notch your tab so it'll fit in nicely when you come to fold it inwards. So all of those little bits can go to the bin. My bin is within reach on the floor. So now this time we're going to have it sitting this way again, and we're going to tear and tape on our tabs to start with, and there's an extra little section here that we're going to do as well. So these tabs are a bit smaller, so I'm only going to put two pieces of tear and tape on each. You could use red tape for this, but with red tape you can't tear it like as quickly as this. It is just as strong, but I really do think the tear and tape is quite strong for boxes. You could use your Seal Plus, which is a strong adhesive. I don't use it that often. I have a little bit of struggle with, I don't mind the Seal, but the Seal Plus I haven't used as much. The Seal, I like that because it's, especially if you don't need to worry about wiggling things around, if it's just placing something down, it's good to use just your Seal. So that's that section. Now before we put it together, you're going to flip it over And as you'll see, I'll just show you how this works. These tabs will come in like that, and then this top section will fold over to give you the reinforced double piece. So what we're going to do, we're going to put just a strip. You could just put Tombow along here because it's just going to get flapped in, but I'm going to use a piece of tear and tape just along, not right to the edge. It doesn't need it right to the edge. And one on each section. Make sure you flip it over and do it on the other side to where you put the first lot of on the tabs. And it goes on the very outside edge because that's going to get tucked down inside. So that's all of that. Just push those down. I didn't run the thing across like I normally do. Now we'll start with this. We'll just do two sections at a time. Get my little dish out. I'll do the two ends. It doesn't matter which ones you do first or last. But we're going to do the same there. You're just going to line that up nicely with the straight edge of the score line there and push it down firm. Push your tab in and line that up. And give it a good squeeze inside. You could decorate this beforehand, before you put it together. I could have done that, I should have done that, but it doesn't make much difference because it's all pretty flat. I am going to put a bit of twine across, which I'll do underneath the mat on the lid. Now before I put those ones in, I'm just going to push them backwards so it's easier to get that tape off. And also I'm just going to test it out. It will be a little bit firmer than that because it's going to have that, but it's going to fit perfectly. Just test it. You can test it before you start and put it together just to make sure it's going to fit. And I'm going to do these one at a time so I can get my bone folder in there and give it a good press down. And that will hold it all nicely together. There's only up to a certain size box. You could, if you've got 12 by 12, you can do a bigger box. But even with that one, you can only go up to a certain size if you're doing a reinforced lid, because you need that extra width all the way around. So you can't always do it with just the standard size cardstock. But that's for another day. So that's our lid, all nice and sturdy. It's a very sturdy lid with the double sides. Now I'm just going to test it on here, and look at that, beautiful. And it doesn't buckle. That normally your base would buckle inwards. It's a little bit flimsy because it's only single. You could use thick white cardstock on the base. I've only used the standard, but it does fit perfectly without buckling on there. Now our decoration piece, I've got all here. Just tidy up this. I don't like working in a mess. I'm a super tidy person. Now I haven't done much in the way of decoration. I thought it's mainly for the card itself inside. I've got a white mat, which I'm going to put some twine down under before I put it on. And then that piece measures 4 by 5.5. And then the DSP, which I took off, is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. So it's just a 1/4 inch smaller, which gives you the 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. And that'll go on there. Then I just put hello there, which is out of this stamp set, this Nature's Prints. And it's got this one here, and all the pieces that I've used have been out of this Nature's Prints sets. It's got the dies with it. I just did a couple of these which tie in with the card. That will go on the front. And I'm going to put this twine, I've cut 2 pieces. I'm going to put them across underneath the mat, which I can put this DSP on first. I'll get my silicone mat out because I'm going to use my Tombow. I don't want glue all over my workspace. I hope we don't get much more cold weather for winter. If it stays pretty much in the early to mid-20s, I'm happy with that. I love Queensland weather. We've have had some unusual weather lately with all the rain, and a while ago it was freezing cold. We were colder here than what we were in Canberra, which was unusual. So this I'm just going to put across, and I'm going to get another piece and tie a knot just to tie in with this belly band on the card. So all I'm going to do is put a couple of bits of seal at the back down towards the bottom, just to hold the twine around. This is just this out of this pack here, Baker's Twine Essentials pack. You've got all these different colours. They're all neutral colours, the white and the black and the cream. Nice little pack to use. So I'll just put that there and across there. Actually, I'm going to slant it up. Just make sure. I don't think I've got enough snail on there yet. And I've pulled that off the edge. I'll put it up on a slant like so, and then the same with this one. We'll start here and we'll come down here. Just a bit of decoration. That'll hold down properly once you adhere it to the lid of the box. Then I'll just get the white roll out again. And I've done, with this one, I've gotten 3 little strips, which I'll go this way. 1, 2, 3. And tie a knot in the centre. I normally measure this a little bit better, but for the sake of the video, we'll do it quickly today. So I've just got the 3 bits together and tie a knot, and then we'll trim it off. That will match, tie in with the card front, with the belly band on the front. So we've just got that. I'll trim those a little bit too long. Oops. That's that. And I can put this up. I'll show you how to, I won't move that because it's got the snail at the back. With this, all I do, I've really pulled that off there. Now it's better. Just put this on the back here. I'm going to put it up on dimensionals, but I want to put the decoration behind first. I always decorate all my bits first. If I'm doing an arrangement of any sort, I always do it all separate and then put it onto the card itself. So that's that. Then we'll get some dimensionals, which I love my dimensionals. I love everything sitting up nice and straight, so we don't just put one on each end, otherwise the centre will cave in. So we shall put a few. And I'm going to put that in the centre. So all that's decorated. I've got some embellishments to put on it as well. And then this will just go on the front. So I can put that, what will I use? I might just use the Tombow. Yes, I will. Indecisive. Tombow will be fine for quickness. It's not like it gets moved around a lot. And I don't think it's going to come off. Centre that nicely on the top. Just like so, and it ties in with our card. Then I've just got a few embellishments, the same as I used on the card, which are these, which I just totally love. Iridescent pearls, basic jewels, and I just love these. They're so, so pretty. They just shine. And I'm going to use the bigger ones. If I pick two, I'll just put one up on there because white on white doesn't show as much, but I want to scatter a few around on my box. Just like so. And we have to have odd numbers, so we'll put another one down about there. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed that. Put that all together. This will go back on here. Slide it up. That goes inside the box. And there is your lid. A good little gift if you want to hand something to someone. I often make them if I know I'm going to hand it out and not post it. Just a standard card is okay for posting. But that's our box for today. And as you can see, it's got the nice, you can see the base as well. So that's how you do a reinforced lid. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll just take that off. And that's the other two. That was my original, that one. And this one I did not that long ago. I hope you enjoyed that today. And thanks for watching. And please go on, subscribe to my channel. I'm up to over 55 subscribers now, which I can go live, do live videos, but I've chosen not to. I think I might just record for a little while. I'm a little bit more confident. When I get more confident, I'll record live. I'm just worried if I make a mistake, I have to stop and start again. So, but anyway, that's it for me. And enjoy the rest of your week. And I'll catch you all again next week. Bye for now.